Welcome back. I'm Cassie, and this is A Wicked World. The story I have for you today is about a little girl who was hurt in her own home by someone that her mother let live there, and her biological father was worried about this person from day one. Sadly, everyone would end up finding out that her father's worries were more than justified. This is the story of Maya Chappell. Maya Chappell was born in March 2020 to her mother Dana Carr and her father James Chappell. Maya was full of life and personality. She was also very mischievous. Maya loved to sing and dance, and she also loved cake as well as anything Peppa Pig. She was said to have an infectious laugh, and everyone who met her loved her. Maya's parents had been together since her mother Dana was 17 years old. She had then given birth to Maya when she was 21. Dana claimed that while Maya's father, James, was a brilliant dad, their relationship had been toxic and awful and full of domestic violence, something that James would deny. Either way, they would end up splitting up close to Maya's first birthday and share custody from then on out. Then, when Maya was 2 years old in July of 2022, Dana had temporarily been working at a friend's pub when a man who was delivering gas bottles to them caught her eye. This man was named Michael Damon, and Dana quickly fell head over heels for him. She would describe Michael as lovely and caring, which are two of the farthest adjectives from what he actually is that I can think of. Only days after they had started dating, Michael went to visit Dana at her home in Catchgate, County Durham. From that day on, he basically never left again. Now, Dana would say that her new boyfriend, Michael, treated her daughter, Maya, like she was his own. She said they would bake cookies together, and sometimes he and Maya would sit on the couch together watching movies. Dana also claimed that her daughter called him Dee Dee, and whenever he walked out of the room, she would say, "Where did Dee Dee go?" So according to both Dana and Michael, he had a good relationship with Maya. Michael even claimed that he and Dana had previously had conversations about how weird it was, how well he and Maya got along, which is a weird thing to think is weird, right? Now, Maya's father, James, was not so sure about this new boyfriend, and he decided to contact police to make a Sarah's Law inquiry. This was to see if Michael had an abusive history towards children. However, Dana would text her ex, James, and tell him that he did not need to file this inquiry because she had broken up with Michael. She lied to him and said, "He isn't here, James, nor do I plan on having him anywhere near me or Maya." And Dana had told James this, even though her new boyfriend Michael didn't even have a criminal history that would have triggered police intervention. Then, only weeks after Michael had arrived on the scene, Maya's father became even more concerned as he started to notice a drastic change in his daughter, and he became increasingly worried about her safety. During her visits to her father, Maya had begun to misbehave and stay up very late. James also learned that this new man his daughter was living with was involved with drug dealers and was currently being chased for a large drug debt. In fact, Michael had recently had a falling out with his mother and stepfather because people had been showing up at their door in Sunderland over and over looking for Michael and the money that he owed them. As a result, they had had their windows broken, paint thrown at their home, and fuses stolen, which left them without electricity. As if all of this wasn't bad enough, James started to notice bruises on Maya's body as well, including a very large one on her pubic bone. After seeing this bruising on his little girl for the first time, James texted his ex Dana and asked her what the fuck had happened. But she would have excuse after excuse, including that Maya would just run into things frequently. Now, Dana worked and Michael did not, so he would be the one to stay home with Maya during the day while Dana was at work. She actually worked as a care coordinator who arranged services for elderly people in Stockton. So many of the injuries that Maya had incurred had happened while she was home alone with Michael. When Dana would ask what had happened to her daughter, Michael would always come up with excuses that she would believe time and time again. Some of his excuses included that Maya was nipping herself and that she was walking into things. Dana even accepted the explanations that came from Michael that made absolutely no sense, like the time that she had bruising on both sides of her face. Michael claimed that it was due to a fall from a slide at the playground. However, these bruises were in the shape of adult fingers. The couple had also taken Maya out of her new nursery school, the one she had only attended for 2 days, because they wanted to avoid questions about all her injuries. Dana's stepfather, Christopher Fellows, had seen Maya during the time that Michael had been living at the home. Christopher had actually been babysitting Maya and giving her a bath when he noticed a large number of bruises on her body. And because he was so worried, he would end up taking pictures of all of these injuries, including ones on her face, abdomen, and pubic area. Dana's stepfather then sent her these photos. However, she ignored his warnings and told him that her daughter had just done these things to herself. Even more bruises were noticed on the little girl's body after she had spent the weekend with her grandmother and her father, James. But after she had been returned back to her mother, Dana, when the weekend was over, Dana tried to say that she had gotten the bruises while she was in her grandmother's care. At one point, Dana's great aunt actually became so concerned that she called child services. However, there's no word on if anything was even done. The same day that Dana tried to pass the blame off on Maya's grandmother for her bruising, Michael would message Dana telling her it was the last time he could watch Maya because of the injuries. He didn't want to get blamed for them, so he texted her and said, "Sorry, but I'm not having anyone accuse me or you." At one point, Dana even sent her boyfriend Michael's mother a text message telling her that he had been very stressed out over the thing with Maya. She said she didn't know what to do, but she would then text again later saying that she had to do something because she could see him going on a bender again, and that wouldn't help anybody. So, despite being alerted to the situation, Dana did nothing to stop her daughter from getting hurt. Instead, she told Michael how much she loved him and how she didn't want to lose him. A few months after Michael had moved in, on September 15th, Maya was scheduled to go spend some time with her father, but Dana would tell him that she couldn't come because she was too sick. However, she was likely just hiding the bruises that Maya had on her body. A little over a week later, on September 27th, Dana was at work when she started receiving text messages from Michael. He told her that Maya had yet another bruise coming through on her face, to which Dana replied back, "Ah man, bless her." Michael then sent a photo to Dana showing all the bruises on Maya's body, and it was captioned, "State of it, man." Dana then texted him back saying, "What the fuck?" Michael replied, "Babe, I really hope you don't think I'm doing this to her." She replied, "I would never think that." And Michael said to her, "I never put a hand on her, I promise you." And Dana again responded, "I know, babe. Please don't think I would ever think that. Maybe you should think that." Later that same day, Dana sent Michael a text message saying, "Thank you so much for helping me out with Maya." The day after these texts were sent, on September 28th, Dana once again went off to work while Michael stayed home with Maya. That morning, Maya had woken up with a stomach bug, one that had been going around the house, so she didn't feel well, but it was nothing serious. Then, at 3:37 that afternoon, Michael called Dana in a panic, telling her that Maya was unwell and she needed to come home. He then rang 999 and told them that the little girl was gasping for breath. And as Dana came racing back home, she texted her boyfriend something to the effect of, "I'm coming, please don't leave me, are you okay?" But she texted nothing about her daughter because she clearly didn't care. She only cared about her love life with Michael. The police and paramedics would arrive to the scene shortly after 999 was called, and they would find Maya's lifeless body lying on the living room floor. From there, she was then airlifted to the Royal Victoria Infirmary in Newcastle, but she never again regained consciousness, and she died at the hospital 2 days later. When Maya had been brought in, doctors had immediately noticed a large number of bruises and marks on her body, about 50 in fact, which had made them very suspicious about how the toddler had died. It was only after she had arrived at the hospital with Maya that Dana would claim she began to realize that something was not right and that her daughter's injuries had been done intentionally. A post-mortem revealed that the little girl had died after being subjected to a blunt force assault, which was likely shaking and blunt force impact to her head, as well as forceful blows to her abdomen. There were also marks found indicating that there was pulling of her left ear and jaw. The pathologist even said that the large amount of damage that had been done to Maya's eyes was something that they usually only saw in high-speed car crashes and multi-story falls. All of Maya's injuries had looked to be deliberately inflicted, and had resulted in brain damage from which she was never able to recover. Michael Damon had been arrested right at the scene when police and EMTs had arrived, and he had then been charged with murder. Once he was brought in for questioning, Michael denied to detectives that he had ever hurt Maya. His relationship with the little girl was mint, he told authorities. He took her to stores, bought her sweets, never told her off, or shouted at her. He claimed that afternoon she felt sick, so she had gone to her bedroom to lie down. While she was doing this, he decided to play some Xbox games. But after 10 minutes, he heard a loud bang come from Maya's room, so he got up to see what had happened. When he did, he found Maya lying on the floor, floppy and gasping for breath. He had then called 999 and, under the instructions of the dispatcher, had performed CPR on Maya until the police and paramedics had arrived on the scene. But Michael also told the police that he had no idea how her injuries had actually occurred. He surmised that she must have fallen out of bed onto the carpeted floor, and on her way down, she hit a knob that was on her bedside table. So how does that cause 50 different injuries and severe head trauma? Oh, right, it doesn't. Police also were not buying a word that Michael was saying. And during their investigation, authorities would also speak with Michael's stepfather, Carl Gallagher. He had actually visited the home on the day that Maya had died. He had been there prior, around 10:40 in the morning. And when he was there, he noticed that Maya was very upset and asking for her mommy over and over. She seemed very scared of Michael, he would say. When the stepfather left around 11:15, he said that he had even considered taking Maya with him because she looked so uncomfortable around Michael, but he didn't. A video was also found on Michael's phone from the day that he had assaulted Maya. Around 11:40 that morning, he took a video, and in it you can see that the little girl is clearly upset, and she's trying to back up into a box-shaped opening, as if she was trying to hide in a space where no adult could get her. Michael had then sent this video to Dana, to which she replied back, "What the fuck?" and then she called Michael. Phone records also indicated that in the hours leading up to the attack on Maya, Michael had made repeated calls to the Department of Work and Pensions, as well as made login attempts to their website to sort out his universal credit, which is like welfare here in the States. By around 2 p.m. that afternoon, he found out that he had actually been cut off from his benefits. Police had also noticed that while paramedics had been performing CPR on Maya, Michael had walked out of the room with his phone to make another phone call. He had again called about his universal credit to see why his payments had been stopped, while this toddler was dying in the room right next to him. That same day, Michael was also being aggressively pursued for his drug debts. And just 5 minutes after his last message in regards to these debts, he had actually called Dana, telling her that Maya was unwell. Additionally, police also found that Michael had set up an online dating profile on Plenty of Fish. This was while he had been with Dana, and he had been secretly messaging other women. He had also been messaging a woman who had said she was going into labor with his baby. On top of all that, Michael admitted to being a steroid user. Dana claimed she had not known about any of this. Shortly after Michael's arrest, Dana Carr was also arrested, and she was charged with allowing the death of a child and child cruelty. Their trial would begin in October of 2023, and Dana's lawyer would try to say that their client had been infatuated with Michael, which had left her blinded by love. This made Dana unable to see what was really going on and recognize the signs of abuse. Her lawyer also said that at one point, Dana had realized that she was also partially responsible for Maya's death, and she felt genuine remorse for not saving her daughter when she could have. Her attorney then went on to make the good old argument of she had a bad childhood, and due to profound difficulties in her own upbringing, Dana was not equipped to deal with a child, or the sort of relationship that she had found herself in, which is BS. Absolute BS. But when Dana was questioned in court, she would say that she felt physically sick having to sit near Michael in the dock. Dana said that not only had she not known that Michael was speaking to other women, she also did not know that he was using drugs, and she did not know that he was hurting her child. She claimed that if she had known, she would have immediately left him. I don't buy that. Maya's mother, Dana, then went on to tell the court that she had actually been pregnant with twins that were Michael's at the time that Maya had died. However, once he was charged with murder, she had decided to terminate the pregnancy. But the prosecution said that they actually made inquiries to the clinic where she said she had the procedure done, and they had no records of it. The judge would also acknowledge that he knew Dana was distressed about her daughter Maya's death because she had loved her. He also said that Dana was grieving and mourning Maya's passing, and that was substantial enough punishment that would remain with her for the rest of her days. This judge, however, also told Dana that she had known the extent of Maya's injuries and who had caused them. He said that her claims to be blinded by love might have explained her actions, but did not justify them. Dana had shown a willful or reckless disregard for Maya's well-being, and her lies to protect Michael ensured that her daughter continued to be exposed to this violence. Now, Dana had actually been out on bail while she was awaiting this trial, and during that time, she not only met a man, fell in love, but she also went on to have his baby. Yep. Michael Damon declined to give any evidence during the trial, but his defender tried to argue that there was no sadistic motivation in Maya's death, and neither was there a substantial degree of premeditation or planning. Michael was found guilty of murder and was given an automatic life sentence behind bars, and he will have to serve a minimum of 20 years before he can apply for parole. And Dana Carr, Maya's mother, was jailed for 9 years after being found guilty of allowing the death of a child. And both Dana and Michael were found guilty of child neglect. They were each sentenced to 6 years, which is to run concurrently with their other sentences. On November 4th, 2022, a funeral was held for Maya Chappell. People lined the streets of Consett wearing pink, Maya's favorite color. A procession led by a horse-drawn carriage carrying Maya's body ended at the Our Lady and St. Joseph's Church, where her memorial services were then held. Shortly after Maya's death, her father James took to Facebook, and he wrote to his daughter saying, "Well, today is the day I lay you to rest, baby girl, and hopefully you can finally be at complete peace. Sorry it's took so long. If I could have done it sooner, I would. I love you so much, Maya Louise Chappell. So does all your family. This isn't a goodbye forever, baby girl. Just a goodbye for now. I'll see you again someday, and I'll make everything up to you. Until we meet again, little girl." Well, thank you for listening to Maya's story today. There were so many people that were concerned about this toddler's well-being. Everyone except for the person who was supposed to care the most, her mother. At first, Dana had me thinking that maybe Michael did trick her and she was too in love to put all the pieces together. But when she kept making excuse after excuse for him, and she didn't even ask about her daughter after he had called her back home the day she got injured, it made me realize that she is also definitely to blame for what happened to Maya. She was aware of what was going on, she just didn't care. So if you do like true crime and you want to hear it from me, then don't forget to hit that subscribe button below and turn on those notifications too, so you'll know when I upload a new video, which is about 2 times every week. Thanks for watching A Wicked World today. Until next time, take care guys, bye. Thank you to all the patrons of A Wicked World. Now, there's even more of A Wicked World on Patreon. So check it out at patreon.com/awickedworld or use the Patreon app. You'll have access to exclusive videos each month and more. Any support truly helps to make sure the victims never get forgotten and to highlight the shortcomings of society associated with each case. Do you have a suggestion for a case you'd like to see me cover? If so, send me an email at awickedworldtruecrime@gmail.com.